Okay, we can go ahead and enter people in.
Jocelyn, are you going to do the honors? I see it counting down.
Okay, I think we have everybody in, right? Welcome. Good evening. My name is Jolene, and I am with VTA's Community Outreach and Public Engagement. And I want to thank you all for coming to this meeting this evening, for giving your time. We're here this evening to update you on the Curtner Station Transit-Oriented Development. We're also going to introduce the developers to you, as well as introduce the Curtner Station Access Study. Next slide. How to use the translation. If you need to use translation, go ahead and click on the interpreter button and then select Spanish. Remember to mute your original audio. Next slide. First, we'd like to get to know who's here today. And so we're going to do a poll. After the poll, we'll go over a few housekeeping items, and then we'll move into doing going over the agenda. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to launch a poll, and there's 6 questions. We'll give you about 3 minutes to answer those. So because there's 6 questions, go ahead. You'll have to scroll down to answer. Is everybody able to see the poll?
The poll disappeared after I answered one question.
Okay. Let's see.
It disappeared on me too, and I didn't answer a question.
Okay, so I'm going to relaunch it really quick, okay? Nobody has answered it, so I'm going to relaunch it. Here we go. You guys should be able to see it. On the side, there's a little gray bar, or yeah, gray bar that you can use that'll help you scroll down. So we'll give you the time to do that. A few minutes.
Okay.
Got maybe 1 more minute.
Yeah. So about half of you have answered right now.
They're trying to submit again.
You're not muted, or you couldn't hear her.
I'm having challenges when I submit the button, hit the submit button, it's not moving.
It won't move.
Oh.
I will show you guys how to do, when we're done, I will show the results. And
Okay.
then after the results, you can go ahead and you can exit out of it.
Oh, okay. All right. Thank you.
No problem.
Okay, it's been 3 minutes, Jolene. Looks like you've
Okay.
got about 62%.
Perfect. So I'm going to end the poll. Let's see what, I'm going to share the results and then we'll go through the results. So it looks like most of you live near Curtner Station and that you're homeowners. I see that about 35% of you guys do park at the park and ride lot and do take the train. There's about 53% of you that don't take the train. A lot of you drive to get around. Quite a few of you walk. And then there's a small percentage of you guys that take the train or carpool. If we go to the next one, we don't need to do that one. Let's see. So it looks like some of you guys attended, about 12% of you, or two of you guys have attended both meetings. And then if you look, there are others that attended the 2 prior community meetings. But most of you are new to this. A lot of you guys got your information through the website, and that's really helpful for us to know how you guys are getting your information. I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing, and I'm going to close the poll. And you guys, if you want, you can exit out of it if it's blocking your screen. Next page or slide. Okay, I want you guys to look at this and read it. Our community is really changing, and it's changing all around us. And I know that can make us feel very uncomfortable. Some of us like the change, some of us don't like the change. As we talk about things that are happening tonight, we really just want to make sure that this is a very respectful meeting, that you guys are showing respect and that we show respect, and that we're just being kind to all the participants. I also want to point out that this event is being recorded by VTA, and it will be available on VTA's YouTube channel. I will have it linked to the webpage, as well as the slides for this presentation will as well. Next page. So we're going to go over tonight's agenda really quickly. So there's going to be a lot of information that we're giving tonight. And so before we begin, we do want to be able to do a brief introduction of VTA staff, the developer team, as well as the station access study consultants. We'll do a land acknowledgement and introduce VTA. We'll provide you with background information, project updates, and milestones. Our developer partners will share their experience and their plans moving forward. We'll introduce the access study consultants, and they will provide an overview of the access study. When we're done with the presentations, we're going to go into breakout rooms. And this is where you'll spend time with the developer and the access study consultant. If you'd like to be assigned to the Spanish breakout room, please type in Spanish in the chat. That way we'll make sure we're able to get you into the right room. Can you hold on one second? Kathleen?
Yes.
Can you unmute the interpreters, please? Alejandro and Charles.
Yes, 1 minute, please. Find them.
Thank you. Just 1 second.
looking for them. Here we go. Why will they not let me? Here we go. Charles, I'm unmuting you. Hopefully you can hear me. There you go. I got one. And now I'm looking for Alejandro. Well, I just need to find him.
You could type him in the find participants.
See, once my screen changed.
Sorry, guys. We just want to make sure that everybody is able to. I just did that. Okay.
Find him. Okay, thank you. Sorry about that.
No problem. So where was I? Was with chat that if you need the Spanish to be part of the Spanish room, please type that in so that we're able to make sure you're in the correct room. After the breakout rooms, we'll return, we'll report back. There'll be time for questions and answers, and then we'll go over the next steps. So next slide. Thanks.
Got that one.
So we would really like to do a brief introduction of who is here in the room, or who is here with you from VTA, as well as the developers and our access consultants. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to call out their name, their first name, and they're going to introduce themselves. And I'm going to have to do that quickly because I muted them. Oh, Jocelyn.
Good evening. I'm Jocelyn Hazen, VTA's project manager for this project.
Perfect. Kathleen.
Good evening. I'm Kathleen Podrosky with the Community Outreach Team.
Aiko.
Good evening. I'm Aiko Cuenco, VTA project manager for the Curtner Station Access Study.
Atisha.
Good evening. I'm Atisha Vashne. I've been supporting with project management efforts on this project and represent VTA.
Ted. Are you able to, he's probably muted. Let me.
There we go. I'm Ted McMahon with Bayview Development.
Matt.
Matt Conti, Bayview Development, one of the co-developers.
Yuri.
Hi, I'm Yuri with CBNA as well, one of the co-developers.
Steve.
Hi, I'm Steve Davis with Fair and Peers. I'm the lead for the Access Study development.
Okay, and Lillian.
Hi, I'm Lillian Ayala, and I'm with Fair and Peers.
Thank you, guys. So as we move forward, I want to do a land acknowledgement. So VTA acknowledges that we're talking about a project that is on ancestral lands of the Ohlone, specifically the Tamian and the Muwekma Ohlone tribes. We acknowledge them not just as the first people of this land on which the community lives and works, yet they remain thriving members of Bay Area communities today. It's possible that historical and cultural resources will be discovered when VTA begins development projects. VTA makes efforts to preserve those remains and ensure that they are returned to the community most connected to them. Next slide. Oh, I am so sorry, I'm going back. Let's go back to introduction, because we do have, I really want to make sure that we know that that we have Luana C. Mua here, and she is representing District 6 for Dev Davis. Sorry, we can go forward now. So, yeah. So what does VTA do? When people think about VTA, they often think of fixed route public transit, but we actually do more than that. VTA is a special district, and we're made up of a board of directors that are 12 local city or county office holders. If you look at this wheel, It shows all the ways that VTA touches transportation throughout Santa Clara County. Our core transit service is the bus, light rail, and the ADA paratransit, but we also construct facilities like the new Milpitas and Berryessa BART stations. We're responsible for local highway improvements like the 101 Blossom Hill interchange, which will help traffic move so much more smoothly. We fund Caltrain along with San Mateo and San Francisco counties, and we encourage the integration of transportation and land use planning. So we design communities that work for everyone. That being said, VTA has a transit-oriented development program, which really focuses on land use. And I'm going to turn the time over now to Jocelyn, who is the project manager for the Curtner Station TOD. Next slide.
Thank you, Jolene. So I wanted to start with a little bit of background about transit-oriented development. So transit-oriented development, or TOD as it's commonly referred to, is a development strategy that prioritizes pedestrian and bike-friendly neighborhoods around transit. Generally, it's located within a half mile of quality public transit, and it's a mixture of uses such as housing, office, retail, open space, etc. And that mixture of uses is really critical as it allows people to get from home to work or work to shopping to home more easily. Next slide, please. So why TOD? What are the benefits? So building development around transit obviously increases transit ridership by making transit more accessible and convenient and interconnected for everyone. It also reduces congestion and greenhouse gas emissions by prioritizing non-car trips, and it promotes vibrant community spaces and station areas. Lastly, it increases access to jobs, housing, and other opportunities for residents of all income levels. Next slide. So VTA started its TOD program in 2009, and the goals of the program are to increase ridership, to leverage our development sites as catalysts to create equitable transit-oriented communities, to create long-term stable revenue to support transit operations for our agency. And as you can see on the map on the right, our portfolio has 25 sites currently, and within those sites, there's capacity to build over 5,000 housing units, of which at least 2,000 would be affordable, and to create over 13,000 jobs. Other goals of our program include affordable housing. VTA has an affordable housing policy that states that for each project that has housing, at least 20% of that housing would be affordable. And overall, we have an affordability goal of 35% for our entire portfolio. VTA also strives for green building, and we have green building and sustainable landscape policies. And lastly, access and station area improvements. We're aware that a lot of our station areas could use enhancing, and this program is a really great way to leverage funding for those improvements. Next slide, please. So Curtner, the station that we're talking about today is located on the corner of Curtner Avenue and Canoas Garden, right along Highway 87, just south of downtown. The development area is comprised of 3 parcels, totaling almost 4 acres. And the station serves both VTA light rail and bus. And as many of you who drive by the station frequently know, the parking at this location is greatly underutilized. Before COVID, our daily weekday parking utilization was at about 15%. So there's about 450 parking stalls there, and generally only 75 of those were used on a daily basis. So, and also just to note, as part of this project, the developer will be required to maintain 100 transit parking stalls at all times, which would be dedicated strictly for transit riders. So in 2008, we held 2 community meetings. There's 2 pictures of those meetings down at the bottom. And at those meetings, we heard concerns about crime and safety right now at the station. And then we also heard concerns about potential traffic and parking implications from a future development. And then lastly, we got a lot of feedback about the desire for neighborhood serving retail, including the potential for a grocery store. So in 2019, we released a request for developer qualifications and then a subsequent request for proposals in 2020. Next slide. So VTA identified a set of goals for the project, which was included in the RFP. And those included increasing transit ridership, building a high quality mixed use development that's consistent with the city's general plan, providing revenue for VTA, creating much needed affordable housing, and providing access and transit station area improvements. And lastly, creating community workforce opportunities. So VTA convened a review panel, which did also include a neighborhood representative, to evaluate the proposals that we received. And ultimately, the panel decided to recommend, and VTA's board of directors selected, a development group comprised of Bayview Development Group and Civil and Building North America. And our evaluation team was really excited about their proposal because they had a great mixture of uses that will allow people to live, work, play, and obtain access to healthcare services. And lastly, the proposal also included some really great stationary enhancements that we were really excited about. So now I'm going to pass it off to Matt with Bayview, who's going to go through their vision for the project.
Great, thank you, Jocelyn. Hello. Typically, we like these community meetings to be a little bit more interactive and in person, but unfortunately, the circumstances are what they are. We hope in the future there is an opportunity to meet in person with many of you, the community stakeholders, as there's no substitute for face-to-face interaction. In any event, we're excited to introduce ourselves, gather your thoughts and feedback, and continue the forward momentum on this project. I'd like to start by introducing our team. I'm Matt Conti with Bayview Development Group, or BDG. We have two other team members with us here this evening, Ted McMahon, CIO of Bayview Development Group, and Yuri Namov-Corbera with CBNA. Together, BDG and CBNA compose the co-development team. CBNA is the development arm of Bouygues Construction, one of the top 10 largest contractors in the world. In a moment here, you'll see a sample set of the international experience that these guys bring to the table. They're well-versed in public-private partnerships as well as transit-oriented development. You'll find Curtner Station will be a public-private partnership between us as private developer and BTA as public entity. My group, Bayview Development Group, is a local San Jose headquartered developer who brings the local boots on the ground experience to the project. Our team also consists of our architect, IBI, also with a wide breadth of international experience and a transportation-focused group. On the middle right of this slide, you'll see our general contractor, which is a joint venture between Americaribe, which is CBNA's US construction arm, and Trubeck Construction. Trubeck is a local general contractor and one that I'd expect you'd see their signs if you're driving the freeways of the Bay Area. The final two partners I'd like to highlight are our affordable housing developer, Eden Housing, and our senior living operator, Carlson Management. Eden is one of the largest affordable housing developers in California and a very prominent Bay Area name. Carlson is a Northern California family-run senior living operator with a number of projects throughout the Bay Area. Next slide, please. So here you see 4 past CBNA projects. These are ones don't expect you to recognize as they are international projects in London, Paris, and Zurich, but I think this provides you with a sense of the scale and transit-oriented development experience in CBNA's tool belt. Next slide, please. Here's a selection of 4 recent BDG projects. If you drive the 280 and 87 freeways in San Jose, you've likely seen our recently delivered Miro Towers, which consist of 630 rental units, and it sits right across the street from City Hall in downtown San Jose. That's top right. We entitled 500 units on the West Dublin BART stop, top right here. And we just delivered an office building at the Lawrence Caltrain station in Santa Clara, bottom left. So you'll see we have great South Bay experience along transit corridors. Next slide, please. And this last sample project slide provides projects completed by our general contractor. These are projects that I'd also expect you might recognize. You have Apple Park, the spaceship in Cupertino, and then Uber's headquarters in San Francisco. Next slide, please. So here we have a bird's eye view of the site that we're discussing this evening. I'd like to take an opportunity to orient you to it. Highway 87 runs through the top middle of the screen, and the Curtner light rail station sits in the middle of the freeway with the station entrance. There's kind of a red shade there, pretty close to the Highway 87 on-ramp label. Mill Pond Phase 1 and Communications Hill is to the upper right. And then the Cathedral of Faith sits just at the bottom of this slide. The primary intersection, as you're likely aware, is Curtner Avenue and Canoas Garden Avenue. And today, as we already noted, it serves as a service parking lot for the light rail. Next slide, please. So this land is owned by VTA, and it will remain owned by VTA. VTA originally conceived the site as 315 apartment units, with 20% of that total, or 65 units, being set aside for affordable housing. We evaluated the site through the RFP process, and while it sits on the edge of Willow Glen, one of the more affluent areas of San Jose, we really struggled to make market rate housing economically feasible. We went through a number of permutations, which is what you see here, evaluating many different product types that range from apartments to office to hotel to retail. And the bottom outlined in green, that this is where we landed. And really, I'd say the four primary reasons. Number one, it allowed us to achieve VTA's goals. Number two, we identified an unmet demand for specific product types in this location. Number three, it's economically feasible. And then number four, it fits within the existing zoning, which is important because that will allow us to work through the city entitlement process. It'll just be a much cleaner and faster process. Next slide, please. So here we have the ground floor site plan to walk you through our proposal, which consists of really 5 primary pieces. In blue, in the lower left, you have our medical office building. And for this, think prospective tenants like a Sutter, Kaiser, Stanford. Where the red and the purple meet, we've proposed senior living, and that's 120 units of assisted living and memory care. In dark yellow, we have the affordable housing portion of the project, and that's about 65 units. In red, you'll see the retail, about 8,000 square feet. And then finally in purple, we have the community benefit, which would consist of like transit kiosks and bike station type areas. A couple other items to identify in this site plan. So we've got one thing that we're proposing is rerouting the 26 surface bus line that currently comes through the surface parking lot and loops through the lot and then exits back onto Curtner. Part of the reason for doing this, we feel like it will create efficiency in that bus route system and also alleviate some of the traffic on Canoas Garden by rerouting it to just keeping it on Curtner. Next slide, please. And here you have our currently proposed master plan. The Curtner Canoas corner has a 240,000 square foot, 6-story medical office building. That's the upper left. Between that and the freeway is the freestanding parking structure. So that gray roof that you see, that'll provide a nice buffer along the freeway. And that's where we're going to be replacing those 100 stalls that currently sit in the surface parking lot that will be available for those VTA light rail riders. As we thought about this design, we felt that it was important to taper the height from the 6-story medical office building down to the single-story. There's a daycare on that small triangle down in the lower right on this slide. We recognize that that portion of the development, it abuts single-family, single-story homes, and so tapering it down just felt appropriate to enter into that neighborhood. Another design element is the opening of the outdoor podium areas to the community instead of building a wall hard up and really turning our back on what's immediately across the street, that Cathedral of Faith and overall community. In this one, the first bar that you'll see in the middle of the design is our senior living. And then the next 2 L shapes as you go to the right are our affordable housing portions of that project. Next slide, please. And so as we studied the area and received preliminary feedback from neighbors, we understand traffic congestion is a major concern. I'm seeing some of that pop up in the chat. Wanted to draw attention to our proposed product types in medical office and senior living, which by design, we feel will help mitigate some of those traffic concerns. If you look at traditional office, there's peak arrival, call it 8 to 10 a.m., and then departure from 5 to 7 p.m. with the majority of traffic during really 4 hours of the day. As you think about a medical office execution, it really it spreads this traffic out over the course of the day as you have folks coming in and out throughout the day. And then as you think about traditional apartments where you provide 2 stalls per 2-bedroom unit and 1 stall per a studio or 1 bed, as you think about a senior living execution, the requirement here is to provide 0.25 stalls per unit. So on an 120 unit project, we have 30 stalls that we'd be putting into that portion of the project. So goes a way to decrease that traffic. So this slide here that you're looking at, this is the hero shot of that hard corner. Oh yeah, that's fine. The hard corner, Curtner Avenue and Canoas Garden. This is the medical office building, and then where you see the blue writing, that's the parking structure, freestanding parking structure. I'd also draw your attention to the upgraded pedestrian walkway and bike lanes, as well as traffic signaling at this intersection. The next slide will give you the before and the after, the proposed versus existing. Next slide, please. And so this one is an image with your back at the Cathedral of Faith, looking down the Grand Paseo to enter the light rail station, which sits at the end, right in the middle, blue lettering that says Curtner. You've got your medical office to the left, and you've got your senior living to the right, and then you've got ground floor retail and pedestrian activation through. Next slide, please. The next slide will be our before and after. Next slide. And then finally, we have an image looking down Canoas back toward Curtner Avenue. And this one really provides some perspective of the single-story daycare on the right-hand side and the enhanced streetscape and bike lanes that we're proposing along Canoas. And so Mill Pond is the street that cuts between the daycare and the affordable housing building that in this image you see with the blue writing again that says Curtner Station. Next slide, please. So we skipped over the before and after, which is fine. This one of the last slides we have here. This is just the rough timeline that we're working around. So we plan to submit our initial entitlement package at the beginning of 2022. And so that's the process with the city of San Jose to approve the plans that we are proposing. We anticipate that process runs about 9 months. And then following that approval, we start working on our construction drawings. And that process takes about 6 months. And then we're looking at starting construction sometime mid 2023 with construction completion coming in mid 2025 to late 2025. Next slide. And so I'll leave you with one last look at the master plan zoomed out. So you can see, in this one, you can see proximity to downtown San Jose in the upper left, and then the beautiful foothills in the distance. I'll now pass it off to Aiko with VTA, who will introduce the access study process.
Thanks, Matt. So I want to share a little bit about our station access study. This is a separate but parallel effort that looks at the circulation and access needs of the station area. We want to make sure that any future development built at our transit station is well integrated with the existing neighborhood, and that we're able to work with the community to identify improvements that'll make it easier to walk, bike, and take transit to the station and surrounding area. I'll turn it over to Steve Davis and Lillian Ayala, our consultant team from Fair and Pierce, will provide us with an overview of this access planning effort.
Thanks, Aiko. Yeah, as Aiko mentioned, the access study portion of this is primarily focused on how people get to, from, and around the Curtner station area. So that would be whether it is as a pedestrian, as a cyclist, a driver, transit rider, or using a combination of those transportation options. So the study will include listening to the community to understand thoughts, concerns, and perspectives. So obviously there's a lot of that discourse happening here on transportation around the existing station and future transit-oriented development site. We are also conducting an independent investigation of the site ourselves to understand the access needs and accommodations. And all of that information will be synthesized with the community input to identify a suite of potential access improvements that both enhance mobility and safety. Additionally, we'll investigate and recommend transportation demand management strategies, or TDM as we like to refer to it, which focus on incentivizing desirable and sustainable means of access to the new transit-oriented development. So a primary goal of these strategies is shifting the new trips, the new travel to and from this site away from people driving alone in cars and towards more sustainable means like riding transit or carpooling, walking, biking, etc. All of these improvements and programs will then be evaluated and their potential implementation prioritized so that we can pursue those projects, those programs with the greatest effect the most quickly as part of the development. This fall, right now, is focused mostly on the first two elements you see here to build an understanding of the needs, and then we'll begin identifying the improvements and strategies to try to address those needs to the extent possible. And the goal of that is to then finalize the overall access study by late spring. So next slide. So we've already begun an investigation of the existing and planned infrastructure in the area as part of both this project, as well as a parallel effort that we've been doing with the city of San Jose to evaluate transportation safety along Curtner Avenue specifically. So we'd like to share some of that background as a starting point for our discussion in the breakout sessions that will follow this. The map you see here highlights the VTA Curtner light rail station with the two yellow stars at either end of that station representing the access points for people to reach the platforms. The blue highlighted area to the left of that reflects the transit-oriented development site that we've been discussing. Sidewalks or pedestrian paths are provided along most of the roadways in the vicinity of Curtner Station, but there are a few locations where sidewalks aren't provided, and those include the north side of Curtner Avenue between Canoas Garden and Stone Avenue, so that's the line across the top, the south side of Mill Pond Drive to the east of Canoas Garden, as well as the area along Sands Drive and Carroll Drive down to the south here. I do want to flag that the missing sidewalk on Curtner Avenue in particular has been mentioned in several of the presentations, so we are aware of that from other studies we've done here, and particularly an issue as it creates some confusion for pedestrians that are seeking to access the direct station area. Next slide. So this slide introduces what the bicycle facilities in the area are. Back one. So there are actually two types of bike facilities that we see here. There are normal bike lanes along Curtner Avenue, running east and west to the study area. And then there are also two disconnected pieces of the Highway 87 Guadalupe River Trail that run north of Curtner Avenue, north of Unified Way, and then south of Carroll Drive. Both of those are on the east side of Highway 87. So you'll note that there's a lot of dashed lines on here. Those are facilities that are proposed or have been identified as part of the City of San Jose's Better Bikeways 2025 planning effort, which includes putting formal bike lanes on Canoas Garden Avenue, includes upgrading the bike lanes along Curtner Avenue, and also would involve filling in that gap in the trail on the 87 trail between Curtner and Carroll Drive on the east side of 87. Would just note that everything that is identified in the plan, the bike plan, is still at the planning level. No specific funding or timelines for implementation have been identified for those projects. Next. And then, obviously we've been talking quite a bit about transit, as this is a transit-oriented development on a VTA site. The primary transit service in the area is, of course, the light rail line, which is the blue line running in the median of Highway 87 and serving the Curtner station. And then bus service in the area is generally provided by Route 26, which you see here in the purple. And all of the yellow-orange circles are current light rail or bus stops in the area. including the transfer stations. As noted, part of this project will include investigating options for having new stops installed on Curtner Avenue to serve bus route 26 without it diverting onto Canoas Garden. Next. So bringing that all together, we just wanted to share a few examples of the kinds of conditions we were talking about. And so what you generally see across the top here are conditions along Curtner Avenue specifically. And at the top left and the top right, you can see those are different locations where there are not currently a sidewalk along Curtner on the north side. And as you see on the top left, there is a trail worn in from folks walking there anyway. And you can see on the right that there is actually someone walking there in that photo, despite there not being a sidewalk. And in the center on the top there, that's a photo of the intersection for the northbound ramps, where you can actually see a cyclist who has come off of the Guadalupe Trail behind us in this photo and is seeking to use the crosswalk and the sidewalk to continue using the gap in the trail there. Across the bottom are photos that are more specific to the Curtner station area. And so the two photos on the left and the bottom center are a couple of the ways that people can get from Curtner on into the site or into the light rail station as a pedestrian. So the bottom left is a path that was built in that connects into the VTA parking lot and allows people to reach the bus stop and the south entrance to the platforms. Whereas the center photo is looking down the steps from the platform directly to Curtner Avenue in between the two highway bridges. And then the bottom right is just showing that one of the concerns we've heard from several folks are that signage on the platforms to direct people where to go once they've exited trains can be challenging. So it's been especially unclear to folks that once they've exited a train, if they're looking to reach the bus, it's not clear that you should actually walk away from Curtner Avenue towards the transfer station, as opposed to walking towards Curtner Avenue where there aren't bus stops today. And next slide. So the last piece we just want to acknowledge, as I mentioned, we've been working with the city on a Vision Zero effort to understand transportation safety challenges and needs along the Curtner Avenue corridor specifically. So as part of that effort, we've reviewed a 5-year collision history along Curtner Avenue, which includes a number of collisions that have occurred near Curtner Station. Specifically, 3 of those collisions in that period have resulted in fatalities, all of those involving pedestrians near the station since 2016. And a number of other collisions have occurred involving bicyclist pedestrians in the area as well. Beyond Curtner, we've also heard concerns from residents and stakeholders and seeing concerns from folks here about Canoas Garden Avenue adjacent to the site, particularly as it involves access to some of the adjacent neighborhoods. So some of the intersections like down at Mill Pond, as well as access for church and school activities and movement of students in the vicinity of the area. And finally, just want to acknowledge that all of these numbers are data, but really they are also people and events and things that have happened in our community. So these fatalities are people that have unfortunately lost their lives using our network in the city. So we're certainly open to hearing more about those occurrences and want to hear more stories from people, more experiences from people during the breakout sessions. So we really have the best understanding we can have of what's going on in this area. With that, I will hand it back to Jolene to bring us toward the breakout sessions.
I'm going to actually take over for a quick second. Thank you. We're having some technical glitches, and Jolene has been frozen, and she's the host. So I'm going to try to get everybody over to your breakouts while we work on getting Jolene back without dropping the meeting. In the event that the meeting should go dark, I'm just going to ask everyone to log back in. We'll get the meeting back up really quickly. We're not sure how this happened. It's the first time it's happened in a meeting. Hate to say congratulations, you're the first group, but congratulations, you're the first group. So we're going to get through this. But we're going to see if I can just get you to the breakout rooms. So this was not planned this evening. We had a much better rehearsal. So I think what I'm going to do is assign automatically, but See, it doesn't, yeah. So what we had is we had everything already created. And what I get as a co-host is I get to create it. So I'm going to try to do just 2 because we didn't have any requests for Spanish. And we're going to see how this works. So bear with me. And I'm so sorry about this, folks. There we go. Let's see. I'm not sure if it's sending or not. I guess I open. Okay, so I guess what you'll do is you'll receive an invitation and you can accept the invitation. And then we're going to work on getting Jolene back. In the meantime, you'll hopefully you'll have your breakout, your developer and your access study teams. We might have to do a little shuffling with the teams that will be working with you. Okay. And for those of you who are staying in here with me, they'll just be dead while we get Jolene back. Right. Okay, I think I know what I need to do.
I think there are other people in the room. Did they want to join groups?
Jolene, I can hear you.
Yes, because I'm using my my personal one.
Okay.
So I need to, will you
So
figure out how to get the screen up on the,
So what she's saying is Aiko, Steve, and Atisha, they're all in one room is what she's saying.
yes, okay, perfect. They're all good.
Can you move me to the one of the breakouts?
Where are, okay, and that sounds really stupid, but where are you? Okay, I see you. I'm gonna move you to room 1. You're in room 2 right now, right?
I left. I'm in the main room.
Okay, so you left 2. I'm gonna put you in 1.
Okay.
And I should move you, I should find Steve and Atisha and move them with you.
I need to go where Atisha is.
No, you move her into Atisha's room.
I'm sorry, what was that?
Move her into Atisha's room.
I don't know where Atisha is.
Room 1.
She's
And can you also move Steve?
Yep.
We can choose our own room, Aiko. Once we're in here, we can choose which one we want to join.
Okay. Oh, I left already.
All right, I'm well, okay. Aiko, you're in 1 now.
Okay.
You should be. Okay. And Steve, are you able to move yours? Yeah, I guess you did.
Okay. And I don't have this the slide. I will send it to myself and put it up. Did they make you host? Look to see if it made you host. You're a co-host.
I'm a co-host. Do you want me to?
I tried quitting. Can you make me a co-host?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think so. Jolene, I need to find you. I have your old you. That's the problem. Where, okay, I found your new one. Well, you're coming up as community outreach. I think you are a host. And you're muted. I can't hear you again.
Okay, I'm just trying to get everything to where I can.
So sorry.
No, I'm sorry. I can't believe everything's just frozen. It's crazy. Okay. I believe there's still people here like Jesse. Jesse, did you want to go into a breakout room? Oh, I need to ask you to unmute.
Sure.
Hanging out with us with technical will be a lot less interesting.
Roland, did you want to go into a breakout room?
Yeah, sure. Put me in a breakout room.
Okay. If I have the ability to.
That's fine. I was watching on YouTube and I couldn't find the Zoom link, but I just found it.
Okay. I'm going to put you in room 1.
Okay. So while you're, no.
Okay. I'm going to do.
I'm impressed with you right now. I'm
Will you email me my first and last name at hotmail.com?
Oh, yeah, Hotmail.
Mm-hmm.
And what am I sending you? The what you just sent me?
The slide, yeah. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my computer, the work computer, and move it, and I'll do something. Okay.
Try not to accidentally throw this away by mistake too. Switch back to email, please. Okay. Right back at you.
I wonder if you can't see me. Okay. And I don't know what to do with this. Am I host or co-host?
I never changed to host, so you might be hosting again.
Okay.
I think it's still you.
I don't know.
And then it's weird. It's not letting me do anything with anybody. Just start moving people over. Folks that are joining the meeting now, we're in breakout session and we're having technical difficulties. So we're going to go ahead and move you to a breakout room, and that way you can join groups that are having discussions on the development and access study. So go ahead and just accept the when it clicks over that you're going into room 2 or room 1.
Why am I not seeing Ted? I'm not seeing Ted.
Okay.
Oh, he just moved.
Oh, Ted and Steve are moving themselves. They're fine.
Okay.
Okay, and you,
do we know how long this has been happening?
The breakouts?
Yeah.
Sure, I can do that via text. When we started 6:48, so almost 10 minutes. Let's let it go maybe a teeny bit longer. I'll check. I'll pop in a room and check if I can.
Okay. Yeah, you
Yeah,
can.
it says I can jump. It says I can join, so I can just check in. Okay. Let me get my screen back up. Nice and big. Going out for drinks with my neighbor. I am so wanting that drink now.
I am a little bit nervous. I'm going to open my thing again and I'm going to put the gray over it. So here's what I'm going to do. I am right here.
I can't get my screen enlarged now. This is I mean, this is. Atisha's inviting me to the room. I don't want to come to the room. Not now.
She may need support.
Oh, shoot. Okay. Crap. Okay. I'll go to room 1 real quick. You're okay if I run over?
Yes, this is on
All
YouTube
right.
too.
We can edit it out.
Yep.
Thought maybe I'd go check out room 2. I was just in room 1, right?
Yeah.
Once
And
I
I'm
figure out
gonna
how to go in there.
pull up my email.
Okay. And then I tried to find you because that's what I thought I would do. Is then, yeah, you're host.
Yeah, it changed. It signed me back in because I signed in with this. It just automatically moved me. Thank goodness.
Do great under pressure.
Mm-mm.
Okay. I need to find room. Breakout rooms. I'm afraid if I hit this breakout room, I don't want to. I'm just so afraid I'll like cancel something.
Well, and the other thing is we're going to have to move them. Did you send me that slide? Or we don't even need. Why am I not? Did
Well, you wanted the slide
oh,
for the
can you do
YouTube?
Yeah, can you forward it this way to the back, the last to front? I think I gave you the wrong address. It's
I
last
sent it to
name, first name.
Jolene.Bradford. It's Bradford.Jolene.
No, it's just Bradford Jolene. No dot.
One word. Okie dokie. Hold on. I had
It's
logged
okay.
out. 1 second. Glad I came back.
Okay. And then.
Oh, it did say my message could not be delivered. There you go.
Oh, nice. Nobody else has my name.
Right. So, okay. So it's Bradford Jolene.
Yes. Yes.
Hotmail.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Back at you.
Okay, I should get it.
Okay, so somebody, okay. I'm gonna try to pull, what room?
So we need to switch people too from rooms.
Yeah, so let's see, how do I get back to the rooms? Because Pat wants to go into the other breakout room, one of the participants. If I hit breakout rooms, will I see the list again?
Yes. And you'll be able to choose, once you hit the assign, where the assign is, it drops down.
All right, so I need to find her. I just don't know what room she's in. Pat, here she is. I'm gonna move her to 1.
Okay.
Okay. And I will not close any rooms. I'm not touching anything else.
Okay, I'm just waiting for this to download, and for some reason it's taking forever.
It's okay. We're
Yeah,
getting
so
through it.
exactly.
Hi, Ted. How's it going? Kent, you're on mute. Let me.
Kind of going like you would expect. Matt and Yuri have it under control. I'm sorry, can you hear me?
Yeah, you're good. You're good.
Okay, sorry. It's going as you would have expected. Matt and Yuri, I think, are doing a good job. They're doing their best to feel that Jocelyn is helping to moderate. I have to go pick up my children. So
Okay.
I am going to run. I apologize. But those guys have it covered. Thank you, ladies.
Okay.
Have a lovely evening. Take care.
Thank you. Have a good evening.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Okay, so in like 5 minutes, we can switch. We'll switch Aiko, Atisha, Steve, and Lillian into the other room. I will do a broadcast message. It's 5 minutes, right?
Yeah. Okay. So in 5 minutes, we're switching?
Yeah, and I'm going to do 5 minutes until switch. And it'll broadcast, but I need to. Okay.
I guess we're being too noisy. I don't understand why they shouldn't be able to hear us. We will try.
Oh, it might be the people. Is it?
The text.
Mhm.
Okay. Let's. Do we move Jocelyn?
Mm-hmm.
We've got this right here, don't we?
Jocelyn, Yuri.
Okay.
And Jesse's in here. She's listening. I think we'll switch her so she can hear the other side, right?
Who?
Jessie. Or do we want her? We can leave her. We'll leave her.
Yeah, because we're switching the speakers, right?
Yeah.
So Aiko goes to room 2. Atisha goes to room 2.
And Lillian and Steve.
Lillian and Steve also.
Uh-huh. Matt, Yuri, and Jocelyn.
Lillian to 2. Oh, don't give me too many on time.
Okay.
I'm sorry. Aiko, Atisha.
Lillian, Steve. Do you want me to do it?
What if I take those and move them to 2 and you take the other ones and move them to 1?
That'll work. That's perfect.
So you give the 5-minute, you'll give the warning and then say,
Mhm.
okay, we're gonna switch you guys.
I'm gonna do the, well, I gave the 5-minute, and so
Oh, you
now,
did.
yeah, now I'll give 1 minute when it turns to 7:07.
And that 1 minute is we're gonna move the speakers now.
Correct.
Okay. Although they can move themselves. Okay.
Wow.
Just tell me when.
Not yet. Okay, we can do it.
Okay. Starting with Atisha. 2.
Oh, where is she?
Aiko. I think Aiko moved herself. Lillian. Steve moved himself. Oh. Oh. Aiko. Atisha is gone. Lillian is gone. Steve is gone. Okay, I think I did it.
Okay,
They're there.
let's see if I can
And
find
yours went.
Oh, great. I'm not able to download the PowerPoint.
I have it. Right?
Yeah.
So I'll still run the slides
Okay, perfect.
when we get back. And it was just going to be questions. And then the how to stay in touch.
8.
So we're going to run a little over.
Mm-hmm.
I'll just
Okay.
it looks like everybody's hanging with us, so that's really awesome.
Yeah.
I'm happy about that. I appreciate everybody being troopers with us on this one.
Well, and I can't seem to open up that
The
slide,
slide.
the timer one. And I don't know why.
Turn off YouTube. Let me just go there real quick and see if it's I'm watching. Oh, I'm one of them. Okay, great. So folks who are watching on YouTube, we normally have a slide that would count down how many minutes folks are in the breakout room. We have another about maybe 17 minutes. And we've had some technical difficulties this evening, so thanks for bearing with us. But we'll resume the program when everybody gets out of the breakout rooms, or you can join and we'll send you into one of the breakout rooms and you can participate. So folks who are watching on YouTube, we normally have a slide that would count down minutes folks are in the breakout room. We have another maybe 17 minutes.
How many minutes do we have left?
I was on mute. It's 7:13. We went in at about 7.
Oh, wait.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Do you want to put yourself on mute because everything's clicking? Okay, Jolene, you are back on. You're on mute.
Great. Thank you guys so much for your patience. There was some technical glitches that kind of surprised us. But thank you so much for hanging in there. What we want to do now is we want to report back, and we can do that in so that we can see each other as we're reporting back from what we heard in the breakout room. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have Jocelyn and Aiko share the top themes that they heard from the rooms. And then if you guys want to bear with us after that, we can give another 15 minutes to do question and answer. So Jocelyn, I'll turn it over to you.
Thanks. So in the first breakout room that we were in, there was a lot of discussion about safety and crime in the area. And I think the general consensus is that that's really gone up recently. So a big concern about that. And then also about lighting and access, and particularly the light rail entrance that goes down directly onto Curtner Avenue, and making sure that that's safe. And then in the second room I was in, we were talking also about safety, security, crime, making sure that the light rail entrance is safe and secure and well lit. And then also talking about parking and making sure that there's enough parking for all of the housing and all of the different uses. And then lastly, we did hear again that there's a desire for a neighborhood serving grocery store.
Okay, thank you. And then Aiko.
So we had a really great discussion in the two breakout rooms. The first room that we were in, there were concerns about overflow parking in the surrounding area. People expressed concerns that there are already existing parking issues on Sands and also on Masonic Drive. And there's traffic concerns related to school pickup and drop off, and then church activity. There's also a lot of concerns related to Mill Pond Road and Canoes Garden, whether a traffic signal is needed there or possibly some other type of stop control, like an always stop control. In the second room, we had some issues related to, or we had some comments related to better lighting, better pedestrian crosswalks are needed, and some concerns related to personal safety. There were also some comments related to the safety concerns heading eastward and crossing the 87 ramp. And then there's personal safety concerns related to accessing the light rail station under the overpass.
Thank you so much. Now, do you guys, I would like to see with the reactions with maybe a thumbs up if you guys are all okay with us extending for another 15 minutes to do some question and answers. I see a lot of thumbs up. Okay, perfect.
You got it. You got it. Okay.
Okay, perfect. So what we'll do is that, did we go over the slide on how to raise hands? You go to the reactions and you do the raised hands, and we can take some questions from the hands, and we'll take questions from the chat. So let's begin with the raised hands. Is there anybody? Okay, I see one. I'm not sure whose name this is. There's no name with it. So I am going to unmute you. Is that right? Why am I not seeing this?
Actually, I see N Baker. Do you want me to unmute N Baker? Or you already just did?
Yes, that's N Baker, yes.
Okay. So M. Baker, do you want to ask your question?
We've unmuted you, but you still need to unmute yourself too. Here, maybe we can do that for you. Yeah, let's see. can do this. We can do this.
Okay, there it goes.
There we go. Yay. Okay.
I brought up concern about not having a problem this year because it was a drought, but in previous years we've had heavy rains and floods on the road, and I didn't hear that in the overview. I just want to make sure that's not missed. There are times when Mill Pond Road underneath 87 is used for the water storage, and the concern is the new type of development may cause more flooding unless they do something to remove water from the area, for drainage, that kind of thing. Because when it's flooding on Mill Pond Road, you can't get in and out.
Yeah, so that's
the only access.
Sorry. Yeah, so that's something that we recognize. That this site does sit in a floodplain, and we're working through our due diligence and better understanding how we're going to need to construct it. And right now, it looks like we're going to need to raise our site in order to stay outside of that floodplain.
But if you raise your site, won't that make everybody else lower?
No, it won't make everybody else lower. Everybody else will be where they are.
But what Matt is mentioning as well is that we're working with the geotechnical consultants currently on doing the due diligence that Matt mentioned. And again, we do acknowledge the problem of the flooding. And, I mean, we will work as well to not make the problem worse, and work as well with the city of San Jose to solve if around the property there are some flooding issues.
Thank you.
Atisha, you were watching the chat. Is there any questions?
Sorry, I was muted. Not right now, but there are questions from the first part of the presentations that were in the chat and unanswered.
There's a hand raised by Nancy on camera. I'm seeing that.
And Alice, and there's Megan Joyce on the participant list.
Wait 1 second. Can I just read a couple of these things that are there? So Tina had commenting to Yuri and Matt on your things, said, so we've taken care of it, or so you were taken care of in a flood, but not the others around you. And then there was another question of, will that not increase the water flow under 87? Do you guys want to touch on that really quickly, and we'll treat that as kind of one question from chat?
Take that, Yuri.
Sure. I mean, on answering Tina's, it really depends where the flood is happening, right? I mean, we need to understand as well why the flood is happening. Maybe the city of San Jose is not maintaining well the sewages, and then that's why it's getting flooded. I mean, we're trying here to work all together, and we are actually not neither the owners, neither the owners of the community here. We're going to actually be part of the community. So we are excited to hear the things and the concerns that happened, not only around us, but in the community. And then we're going to try to work all together to solve those. With that said, if there's a flooding happening 3 blocks down the street, and it's not caused because of Curtner Station development, we would be a neighbor, same as you, that we will then raise the topic with the right authority, right?
Okay. Thank you, Yuri. Let's go ahead and we will now go to Megan Joyce. I'm going to ask you to unmute. Okay, perfect.
Hi, I just had a question. We saw some really nice illustrations and paintings of what you have proposed. But however, is there any way that a model is going to be built so that we can actually see with vision what is actually proposed? In other words, if there's a model, you have elevations you can see. With the pictures, you just see what's on the pictures. And if you are going to be making models, is there some way that we here, particularly in Mill Pond, can see these here at maybe the clubhouse or something?
That's a very good question, Meg. And Joyce, sorry, I don't know which of you asked the question. But to answer the question, yes. First, we are at a very early stage of the process, which means that these renderings and pictures, we are going to work with them, so they are not final yet. That's the first point. And then as per graphics, I mean, and looking. And then on a second topic, once we walk down the process of making the project more a reality and closer to construction, then yes, we will be creating these models, and we will be more than happy to bring one of the models to Mill Pond and have additional meetings with you all, so you can feel the scale of it.
Thank you. So we have one more raised hand. I don't see any different questions in the chat. So let me, so Nancy, I'm going to ask you to unmute and go ahead.
Okay, thank you. I finally figured out how to do my little hand.
Nice.
I learned something tonight. So the one thing in the recap of everything that I didn't hear, you know, the parking issues I heard, but I want to be sure that we're communicating with the city council regarding the elimination of parking requirements on these developments, because that will impact what you do. And supposedly the city council is making that decision in January. So if they make that decision to eliminate parking requirements, that could further impact if you guys decide to change your plan. So we need to know, that needs to be addressed.
I think that's a valid point. And Matt, sorry, you're muted. You want to go ahead?
Yeah, so we're closely tracking those changes. And as we think about that, we're doing development in downtown San Jose, and there's areas where having parking maximums makes a lot more sense. As we think about this development, even if there is parking maximum, like at the end of the day, if we can't lease out the office building or the medical office building because we don't have enough parking, then the project is dead in the water. So we have to build the amount of parking that is required by each of the components.
It's just if they eliminate the requirement, but I guess you have to listen to what potential residents want too. Like you're saying, the businesses.
Correct.
Just be if the city eliminates the need for it, you're just not going to do a parking structure and walk away.
Correct. And let me add as well something, Nancy, which is that this specific project is on a private developer that owns a private land, and at the end of the day is going to do whatever they want, and just if they abide by the rules of the city. We have gone through a very thorough process with VTA in terms of qualification and even proposals. And again, this is not a regular project where a private developer comes in and does whatever they want. And that's probably why we're having these early meetings with you, just because it's a public-private partnership. And because of that, we're not going to get greedy and just basically don't provide any parking at all because of this reason. But then at the same time, because of Matt just mentioned, the location and the uses that we're planning to still would require for market purposes to bring this parking to the site.
Okay, thank you.
Well, I think Alice, you had your hand up at some point, I remember. Alice Orth, I don't know if.
I don't know if she did.
Okay, I did have a question. As coming off of Canoas Drive, approaching Curtner and making a right to get on 87 South, are we going to have a bus stop there as well as, coming off there? Is this where the buses will be turning before you enter 87? between Canoas?
The plan we have is, yes, move the bus stop to Curtner, but we're not planning to make the buses stop in the main Curtner Avenue. What we will have is actually an entrance, like a kind of an island that will come into the site. Matt is sharing. Yeah, so right there, right in the middle of the two buildings, the buses actually will have like a little island that will come, that will not disturb the parking. Again, those are very preliminary images and drawings, and you will see with more detail as soon as we go down the process.
Just add, we're trying to draw a connection from Curtner Light Rail Station through this to catch the bus here.
Curtner, because now trying to get on to 87 South with the traffic coming down Curtner, sometimes they cut over, sometimes you're not sure. If you want to make a left and get over to Unified Way, you can barely get out because of the traffic. So I'm just concerned about how coming off of Canoas, if you make a right and then want to move left, if you have people, the bus stop and 87, so it'll be a big, the curve will be in, I guess. So we can still actually get onto 87 without crossing the bus.
Yes, correct.
Okay.
And one thing we are taking a look at is having some kind of island here so that this traffic can cut through here.
Okay.
So it bifurcates the folks going straight versus turning.
So
yes. I think there was a question from Tina on the chat on how do you access the platform, I guess from the bus stop. If that's the case, maybe Matt with the pointer, you can actually make the path. There will be all a pedestrian path from where the bus stop and Curtner stops, and then all the way to the center of the plaza, and then it will go up to the platform. All these will be pedestrian, except for the access of the cars for the parking structure that will go there in the middle. But that will not be a separate kind of road or avenue. Everything will be on the same level and will have its, what's the name, Matt? The poles, like the
bollards.
Yes, the bollards. So it will be a safer pedestrian experience than what it is today.
Okay, so I'm going to interrupt right there. Thank you so much. I think that's going to be our last question.
Jolene, there is just one overarching concern that came up. People are looking for information to contact us and the developers. And if it could be copy pasted in the chat so they can copy. And people are also looking for links to the recording of this meeting whenever it is made public.
Okay, so Matt, do you guys want to put your contact information in? As we move forward, this is how I'm going to be able to help you guys to be able to be involved and be able to get some of the information on how to link or find those videos. First thing I'm going to do is say thank you so much for participating. We really appreciate your time and we want to be mindful of it. One of the best ways that you can, or best things that you can do to stay involved is to sign up for the mailing list. And on the mailing list. And so what you'll do is you'll go to vta.org/Curtner Development. And to the right, down at the bottom, you'll see this subscribe to updates. And so what you'll do is you'll put your email in and you'll push subscribe. And this message, if you notice the arrow, the message will show up. And it will say that you're going to receive an email and that you need to click on that to continue with it. And so once you click on that, it'll allow you to choose the Curtner Station Transit-Oriented Development. Do that. And what will happen is when we send out updates about the project, you'll get that information. If you guys need help with that, please feel free to email community.outreach@vta.org and we can help you. So there's that. Next slide.
I just put those in chat too for everybody.
Oh, perfect. And then the other ways that you can stay involved is the access study, and some of the things are going to be doing some pop-up events and an online survey. And we'll have more information and be sending that out to the mailing list. And we'll make sure that you guys are on that if you guys sign up for that. And then we can also participate in a neighborhood or local group meeting. We can do it via Zoom, or we can do some type of tabling event. You can contact us at community.outreach@vta.org to set that up. Okay. And so I would say by Tuesday, we will have the video. We will have went through and we'll have the video all edited and put together so you can see the breakout rooms in that. And then we will have that link, or the link will be on that page, as well as the presentation slides. Thank you guys so much for your time and participating.
That's it?
Yep, that's it.
Thanks for everyone. We appreciate it. Bye.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Good night.
Thank you.